Changing gears, both here within the state, definitely from a state checkoff perspective, but also the national checkoff, the federal program. Texas has always been very heavily invested in international markets. 96% of the world's population lives outside the United States. There's a lot of consumers out there that could be eating U.S. beef, and so we feel like that based on the market research we've seen, we know that the growth that will occur or that could occur in the beef market is going to happen on the international level. It's not so much on the domestic level. So we need to hold tight on our domestic demand, but we also need to increase and get more market share across the globe. And so you'll see from here that we do a variety of programs throughout the world, and whether that be in the Caribbean market, whether that be in Central and South America, Mexico, all the Asian markets, the Pan-Asian markets, Pan-Asian countries, Korea, Japan, Hong Kong, Taiwan, hopefully China someday. We try and be in a lot of places and reach a lot of different consumers, chefs, sales reps, all the different industry segments, and help provide them information about U.S. beef and how it's high quality and how it's the safest product in the world. And so we do that by, one, bringing teams here to Texas. We'll bring over chefs and sales reps and help them understand U.S. beef, which we know that if they have a better understanding of it, that then they're able to sell it better in their country. And so we bring them here, we take them to ranches, to feed yards, to packing plants, show them everything about our industry. And then we also take the product that they would be getting, pull it out of the box, open it up, and show them how to cut it, because that's really the biggest barrier is they've never used our product before, possibly, and if they don't know how to utilize it to its full potential, they won't be as profitable with it. And so if we can show them how to utilize that product, show them some cuts that they can do with U.S. beef, but maybe they couldn't do with other types of beef because of ours being more high quality, we try and show them that. And so then we educate them on U.S. beef and then send them back home, and then we work with them to do promotions and seminars in their countries to help promote what they've learned and to be able to sell more product. And we've seen some great advances in some of these markets. And each market is a little bit different. You look in Central and South America, that market for U.S. beef is smaller. They do produce a lot of cattle down there, but there's countries that have a great desire for our beef. But right now we're still kind of working at the importer level and trying to break into the chef level, trying to educate the chefs on how to use the product. You go overseas and you look at a market like Japan, we have been heavily involved at the importer level, at the chef level, at the sales rep level. And so a lot of what we do in those countries is working directly with consumers or consumer influencers, just like we do here domestically. And so each market is different, but we try and do a variety of programs that can really help move the needle and increase demand. More importantly, increase the market share that we have within those countries, because we have a lot of competitors globally that are also producing beef. The reason we think this is very important is because there's a lot of value that comes from exporting our beef. You can see that in 2003, right before the first case of BSE, that value was $136, and that was a record high. In December of 2003, we saw the first case of BSE here in the United States. All the international markets closed to U.S. beef, and we have slowly built that back up over the years. And you can see that in 2014 we were at a record year, and $300 for every fed steer heifer that was harvested. $300 of that came directly from being able to export cuts to international markets. And so if you take that down and say, well, I'm a cow-calf producer, what is that in terms of what I'm going to be selling as a 5-weight calf? It's about $170 is the value of exports to a cow-calf producer selling a 500-weight calf. So there really is a lot of value in exports, and you can see in 2015 it dropped down a little bit, but because of tight prices, we saw some contraction in the international markets, but we've got a pretty good outlook going forward. So we've got high hopes and are sticking with really investing in the international markets to grow that market share. An example of something we might do, the American BBQ Campaign. We took some producers and some experts to Japan several years ago and introduced this theme of American barbecue. And of course, we're from Texas, and I go in thinking, well, I'm going to teach them how to cook a brisket. I'm going to teach them how to cook some short ribs. We're going to talk about barbecuing and how you spend all day out by a smoker. And we talked about that, and then they got really excited and wanted to go outside and barbecue. And to them, barbecuing was anything that was over 1/4 of an inch thick. So we ended up going outside and barbecuing ribeye steaks on a Weber grill. And to them, that was barbecue, because they don't do anything like that as far as what they produce at home and what they cook at home. Most of the cuts are going to be very thin cut that they're used to. And so it was really exciting for them just to cook 1.5 inch thick ribeye on a charcoal grill, because that was very untraditional for them. So it's kind of a trade-off in what we think is barbecue and what they think is barbecue, but it allows us to be able to sell some of those high-quality cuts to a market that is hungry for our U.S. beef. And so trying to do these American Barbecue Campaign, this theme, and working with restaurants like some of the different barbecue restaurants that are kind of kicking off there, and then some other style restaurants that are trying to incorporate the barbecue theme, in addition to working with some of the big retailers, just like we have here in Texas. They've got Costco's, and so working with their Costco's to be able to produce some of these cuts so that consumers can buy them and utilize those in their recipes. So it's been a great food service and a retail strategy to really promote this American barbecue theme. In addition to what we've done in Japan, we've also done that in some other Asian markets. Another example would be Hong Kong in the food service development. And you can see that these are very traditional dishes that are pictured in the slide. But working with these restaurants, they're doing these very traditional dishes and then extending that, like I said, in Japan, and helping to use this barbecue theme to bring in some non-traditional cuts and do some non-traditional items that they can be put on the menu. In addition, in Hong Kong, we're also a big player in the food shows and some of the big events and festivals they do surrounding food. U.S. beef is very important in Hong Kong. It's the gateway to China, and so we know that if we can influence the chefs in that area, that will translate into more sales in China at some point. And so our goal is to really be involved in the promotions there in Hong Kong, and we are a major sponsor for many years of the Hong Kong Great American Barbecue, which is the largest food show in Hong Kong that focuses on U.S. beef, and so there's a few others that we've picked up along the way, but we're really excited to be a big player in the food service area in Hong Kong.